Hello. So, I'm not really sure how long I've been at my current place. Maybe a week, maybe a little less. But I've been walking to like some of the local market options, and today I took a little bit of a different path. And I kind of like went behind these apartments, like in front of the mountain. I just took a little video. Maybe I'll post it in the beginning so you can see where I am. And there's these white flowers everywhere that I'm very obsessed with. They smell so good. I need to know the name of them. I was just talking about this yesterday that I did try to ask the gardener, but his English, it didn't work out. But anyway, I just love the smell. And there's all these flowers here and like a little bit of running water. And I can hear like roosters. You may hear like a lot of animal sounds in the background, dogs. I think I hear owls. I've been seeing owl owl symbology, symbols, visions. I just released a nocturnal transmission. I've been very active at nighttime lately. By active, I just mean awake and creating, watching movies, just like more alive at nighttime. There's a song I kept hearing in my head. She comes alive at nighttime. Mm-hmm. I don't remember who sings it, but that's been in my head off and on. Oh, I just walked by a bunch of these white flowers, and the color white has been so significant lately. Okay, so probably could have said this in the beginning, but this will be a Hierogamic union template tap-in. I'll say that it's been days and days. As soon as I said that, I turned around away from the sun and I just saw all of this beautiful like old like violet color come in, like violet circles. Okay, yes. So I have been sort of accumulating energetic strands for really like since whenever I posted the last Hierogamic Union template tap-in, but especially like the last week or so, it has been like ramping up. And I almost pushed record for this specific transmission so many times and just didn't feel like the right time. But through other recordings, there's been like strands weaving through. So there's been a little bit of that energy tapping in. I meant to say weaving in, but like more deeply tapping in. I've been actually doing a lot of like, I guess you can say like internal deeper dives into this template, as well as working it out like mentally, emotionally, like basically from so many levels, etherically. And so I really wanted to feel that go spark before I just, oh yeah, exactly. Excuse me. Push record. Ooh. Okay. Where to begin? So, I will continue on YouTube. A lot of this feels like also there will be an overflow on Patreon. Probably for more like in-depth personal experiences and connections, as well as any like ascension mechanics that come through. I recorded the third key in the Oraculous Lineage series that I'm creating yesterday on Patreon, the overflow portion, and I started writing the Substack essence, the written essence today on Substack. And the Hierogamic Union template came through yesterday while I was recording. The third key, Avalon. It's a very long title, but I'm shortening it right now to just Avalon, Mists of Avalon sort of frequency. And the Lyran, the Lyrid meteor shower in the Lyran constellation. So something significant that came through was like, I'm actually not being guided to tap into that at the moment. So like what I was going to say just totally left. So I'm going to trust that. Whoa. I just heard Idle Hands, which I believe is a movie with Devon Sawa. I never saw it, but one of my childhood friends growing up was like obsessed with Devon Sawa and always talked about Idle Hands. I still have never seen it, but for some reason I was shown that. But literally Idle Hands. Someone could be feeling restless. There's a lot of restlessness in the air. So whatever you can do / are doing to work with that restless sort of feeling, if you're experiencing that. It also feels like transference. You could be picking up on like someone external to you who is experiencing that, as well as collective energy. Whenever I say that word, I feel so silly. Energy. I don't know why. I think I'm really pissing off this dog, so I'm going to walk back the other way. This feels like a little bit of a scenic route, but you can't really get out into the main road. Which could be a message for some of you. Perhaps you've been feeling called to kind of, some more R&R, scenic route, wandering without a cause sort of stuff. There's also a plane is going by and it's like slowly descending up. And I'm being reminded that I still have not done the Pink Water live transmission, which is also connected to the Hierogamic Union template, but the thumbnail is popping in my head that I created, and the recurring dreams and symbology of like stairs, ascending stairs, descending stairs, spiral stairs, ladders. I'm being shown this dream I had quite a while back, actually, where I was ascending these stairs and a white feather like slowly floated and landed in my hand. And I think it was around the time that I started having those experiences where feathers were landing in my hand in waking reality, where I was just walking and like literally it happened like 3 times. Feather just like landed in my palm. And I believe one of them was a white feather. That might have been in Mexico. Okay, so this is tying me into, you could be seeing feathers, or maybe you'll start soon. Maybe someone here collects feathers, but I'm seeing all kinds of feathers, peacock feathers. I'm also seeing peacock ore. But there's this really strong connection to, snow. Speaking of white. Okay, so the last 5 to 6 nights in a row, I've had dreams of the masculine collective. And last night was the first night that it wasn't a physical person, but it was represented as snow. And for me, that's a very deep personal synchronicity, which I'll probably get into in the Patreon overflow. But I'm being reminded of one of the times I was in Mexico, and I had another synchronicity around snow, which was in, I believe, 2022. So that year could be significant. I'm not sure this will show up on the audio. Ooh, it's getting louder. There's these like loud, almost like engine or motorcycle or something. And there's an oracle card from Alana Fairchild's White Light Oracle, which I feel like has been coming up a lot lately. I always say this, but it was my first oracle deck ever. And I was in a bathroom and I just got like a flash of an image of one of the cards. There's a white bird, kind of like a phoenix. And I didn't even put this together that I go into the details about the white birds in my dream, which will be coming up in a little while. And anyway, the card is Karma of Kutuhala, I believe, number 43, which is always my synchronistically divine union number. And it talks about like rise of passion. I'll put a description in the YouTube. I'll put it in the YouTube description of the card if you want to read about it. But also the color ivory keeps coming to mind. But there's something really significant about the word karma, like karma of Kutuhala. So I talk about later in this recording, in this audio transmission, about like, oh my gosh, these noises are still coming. I don't know if it's showing up on the audio, but it's like nonstop. About how different like unhealed filters kind of play out through these different cycles. And yeah, so it feels like someone that you could be connected to, maybe either like this is the past or current, or this current cycle is ending, of them experiencing some sort of like, karma just means action, like something that's repeating in their life. And they're like realizing like, oh, wow, okay, this is like a consequence of something, yeah. You also could be getting an invitation, or maybe you just did. But I was feeling that with all of the motorcycle sounds or engine sounds. And I just looked down, and a friend of mine, we were talking for a while, and she hasn't texted me in like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours. And I looked down, and the only word, she literally just texted me right now, and I decided to tap back into this transmission. And the only word I saw was invite. So again, I was getting like 8 of Wands energy, like something coming in or something just came in. So that was confirmation right there. 333 on the timer. I still have the description up, so I'll read it. Karma of Kutuhala is an oracle card theme representing the wonder or divine curiosity that shifts your inner reality and outer experiences. It emphasizes acting from soul passion rather than obligation, promising that following your genuine bliss will make you prevail and rise despite challenges. And it's interesting because I'm sort of recording this transmission not in chronological order. So like I'm putting together the audio the way I'm guided to put it together. And you'll hear me later talk about a lot of the masculine sort of unhealed filters. And something that I realized that may be coming up for feminine unhealed sort of, and again, not man, woman, but just energetically, just the way the descriptors come through. There's something about the color red and like red patent leather, or like, that really shiny, like fake, like patent leather. That's very specific red patent leather, but basically after a lot of different symbolism and breaking down things, it seemed to come up as this like performative feminine archetype of like feeling like you need to like perform in some way, for whether it's like acceptance, peace, keeping the peace, validation, whatever you want to label it as. So it feels like this performative feminine archetype. And it came through as like, again, through the symbolism of red, shiny patent leather. And when I was a kid, I was obsessed with these like patent leather shoes from the movie Annie. I don't know why. And it came through my dream recently, and I remembered that. And it just kind of, it felt like this, again, this performative feminine archetype that feels like it's, because not all performing is bad, right? Like some people have a desire to perform, but so the shadow aspect of that came through as this like, feeling like you need to be whatever it is that you feel you need to do, not how you actually genuinely feel. And I actually got invited to do something recently, like the other day, and I felt like I had to but just be overly like smiley and nodding to the person and just like listen. And sometimes, like, I don't know, I just like, I don't feel like doing that. So I said, thank you, but no thank you. And a version of me would have just like went along with it, and been like, oh, it's fine. But like, that's not what I wanted to do in that moment. So yeah, there's something about that too. And then on the other side of that, right, like of having a desire to perform in a way that feels like authentically expressed, authentic expression, that type of thing. Whether that's like literally like performing on stage or something of that nature, or just like however it is that you creatively express or even just show up as who you are, So yeah. For some reason, The Nanny just popped in my head. That's how she became The Nanny, that song, or that theme song. That's so interesting because I grew up watching The Nanny, and yes, I did love The Nanny, and I still like it. But I remember I saw a behind the scenes. I don't know if I talked about this before, but just in case, I saw a behind the scenes of The Nanny, actually, of Fran Drescher and how she got that show, like, piloted. And it was kind of like crazy. She had like other ideas. I don't remember the exact story, but the story of how that show became a hit was like not at all what you would think. Yeah. I like want to tell you the details, but for some reason they all just left my mind, but there is something significant about that. And it's out there. So if you want to look it up, feel free. But I think like the moral of the story is that Fran Drescher like got really honest. Excuse me, I just burped that out. She got really honest with that character, and like I think at the time it was like something that wasn't really done, and she like put herself out there and like actually I think like track someone down to like show them the script. So it was a lot of like her kind of putting herself out there, being herself, and like it was like very like it's a very inspiring story. I don't know if that's coming through. And that's just one example, of course. But yeah. So it's been over a day, or about a day, where I'm picking up this recording, although it's all going to flow as one. And I wanted to see where I left off. And I just also wanted to kind of click on a random spot and see. And I noticed that I said that a plane was slowly descending up, which obviously I meant ascending. But as they say, when you're in these spaces, there's no accidents, because one of the transmissions I released recently was ascension descending or something like that, and that reminds me of that energy. So there could be messages in there for some of you. I was just saying with a friend today, she left me an audio message and afterwards said, I need to stop saying like so much. And then I responded, I'm the same way with like and I always catch myself. And it's like the more that I say I'm not going to do it, like the worse it gets. I'm always putting an effort to improve, but doing the best we can, right? So, yeah, okay. Ooh, I just looked at my clock. It's 12:12. You could be seeing combinations of 12:12, 12:21. I kept seeing 36, 72. It feels like something could be like a time frame, like 36 hours, 72 hours. Something that happened 36 hours ago. Something is coming in 36 hours. There's something about that. Every time I go to say something, honestly, I feel this like backed up energy, like this backup so much that it's almost like I can't get anything out. So that could be like a collective energy right now. And this is the second or third time that my left collarbone and like almost maybe 2 to 3 inches underneath has been like aching and lighting up. So you may have heard me say before, for me, the collarbones always connect through the maternal lineage of like ancestral patterns. And they also seem to double as like, not all the time, but sometimes as like almost like inner realm keys or like fey realm keys. Like there's something about the collarbone and connection to like the inner realms. So in this case, it feels like both of those symbolic aspects are coming in. And I have been writing down, I have so many chills all of a sudden. I've been writing down so many like just possible synchronicities and experiences, etc., etc. Okay. Stomach grumbling or rumbling. Grumbling, is that a word? There could be like something around like maybe your stomach has been rumbling more. Someone you know has a rumbly stomach. There could have been an experience with a rumbly stomach. But energetically, it feels like the solar plexus, the center of the body, right? I didn't mean to say that. I don't know if it's actually the center of the body, but like the solar masculine energy within is like sensing something coming in terms of like movement. And I say that because so the rumbling could be almost like energetically, it's like making room. It's like moving around. I don't know. And that's just like one of the possible energetics I was getting. I was looking at the stars the other night, and this one star just kept, like, as I said that actually just now, I'm inside, and I saw like a sparkle of light up here, on the ceiling. So yeah, it was just like grabbing my attention, and I had my Stellarium app open, and it was a new constellation that I don't remember ever connecting with before, Auriga, and the main star that was grabbing the attention was Capella. So, I keep getting these like really full body chills. So the Capella energy happens to be the goat, and the charioteer. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, which of course reminds me of the Chariot card in tarot. So could be seeing sevens, and yeah, this like forward movement type of thing. Now, a lot of like what we can call masculine energy, and there have been a couple references as well to like cocooning. So some of you may feel like you've been in and out of cocoon stages so many times at this point. Some of you may be newer, but it also feels like someone that you've maybe connected to is like coming out of cocoon stage. Like some sort of quick transformation. And I say quick because, of course, so much has been happening behind the scenes, but it's going to look like a quick transformation. And the reason why I say this, so sometimes I like to rewatch certain shows, And for some reason, I just rewatched the end of The Good Place. So if you have not seen it and you don't want a spoiler alert, then maybe just fast forward a little bit. But Chidi Anagonia is one of the characters, and I kept being shown like for a collective masculine group. So at one point, Chidi has to like, well, he volunteers. He doesn't have to. He volunteers to like lose part of his memory, so he can like assist whatever the main project is that they're all working on at the time. But he's already with Eleanor, and she's like, well, if you lose your memories, like, we're gonna have to not be together right now. And he's like, it's just a sacrifice, like, I have to make, like, it's the only way. So he does, and then later on in the series, they have to basically like save all of humanity, and they're like, we need to like wake Chidi up, and basically 800 versions of himself get stuffed back into his consciousness simultaneously. And so I just kept having this like flash of a collective masculine experience, like having, when I say masculine, of course, it's just an energy. So it could be parts of you as well. Like maybe some of you are having these almost like feeling like it's spontaneous memories, awakenings, integrations. Of course, it's not really so fast, because if you watch the series, like there's so much that happens to get to that point. But that whole idea of like, whoa, like this big re-encrypted consciousness moment of realization. Of course, it's a TV show and it's a little bit more dramatic, but this idea of, all right, it's time now, and then just like boom, like his eyes awaken, and he is known for being extremely indecisive. I don't know why I love Chidi Anagoni's character. He's known for being super indecisive, and he comes out of this, you know, he's like, eyes are closed because he was like, his consciousness was like offline, and then they snap the fingers and boom, 800 versions of himself are integrated, and he just gets up and he's like he's so decisive, and he apologizes to everyone for being, he's like, have I been annoying the last like 800 years or whatever, however long it's been? And they're all just like, what? And he's just like, all right, let's do this. I need some pretzels. I need this. Oh, by the way, Eleanor, I love you. And this and that and that. And he just like is all like extremely decisive. And he's like, well, when you have 800 versions of yourself in at once, you know, you kind of just see more clearly. So yeah, for some reason that scene kept playing in my head like over and over again. Now, of course, when I bring through energetics, like, right, like I said, that's a show, but this is just kind of describing like the energy that I'm feeling. Okay. And like I said, please take that how it fits for you. So this really does feel like an internal, like inner planes integration within the self. And then again, if there's someone externally that you're connected to, like a person, there can be this happening as well. And like, you'll know if that's for you. And yeah, I'm not going to over explain it. I feel like that's good. Okay. So with that, if you've ever connected to the idea of like a spirit baby, that has been coming through, honestly, so annoyingly strongly, and I didn't really want to talk about it, but it continues to come up. So especially the last few weeks, it's been like so potent. So potent. I've had quite a few pregnancy dreams as well. Now, when I talk about spirit babies and pregnancy and dreams, if you're not someone who is biologically able to have children, and or, you know, whether that's because you are a man or you're past that, or you don't want kids, or whatever it is, you can take it as some form of next octave project being birthed. And when I say next octave, it's like because we're in the Hierogamic Union template tap-in, it kind of feels like as a result of this hierogamos, this inner union that's happening, this alchemical process, something is, the internal masculine and feminine integrating is birthing something. So again, whether you connect with a spirit baby, it doesn't have to be a human, it could be an animal, it could be an idea, a project, like whatever that is for you, but it feels like it's been whispering to you. Maybe you're also having dreams. I'm seeing yellow flowers for someone. I'm also hearing and seeing tulips. Gerber daisies have been coming up a lot. And roses. Lots of like flowers for some reason. I'm also seeing like colored dough. It's like really specific. Yeah. Colored dough. Or like colored cake. There's something about like using color or like food dye or like natural dyes, like something like that. Whether you're dyeing your food, your hair, your clothes, something like that. Bruno Mars won't stop playing in my head. Uptown Funk. Saturday night. It's actually Saturday night when I'm recording this, and I didn't realize that it was. So you could be hearing this on a Saturday, or something could be coming through on a Saturday, but Uptown Funk. I don't know why, I just keep hearing that. Michelle Pfeiffer. White Gold. There's something there. And I feel like much more lighthearted or like silly. When I first tried to, I shouldn't say try. I have had the mental 2:24 on the clock. I've had this like mental intention to record this, but it's just been feeling like I was like overthinking it, which I haven't really done that with recordings too much lately. But yeah, I was like overthinking this. So I feel like that's a collective energy. There's this like, perhaps you have been working with indecision or overthinking, and maybe these are things that you've been working on for a long time. So this won't be for everyone, but it feels like for a lot of you, you've like released this in a lot of ways. Like maybe from when you first started till now, it's like night and day, like so much more clear. But it almost feels like whenever you're finding this, there could almost be like what feels like a backslide, or like maybe you feel like, oh my God, I'm going into old patterns, or, something like that. And it doesn't have to be those two specific things. Those are the strongest ones coming up, but it really could be anything. But I almost like lost my breath for a second when I was saying that. Maybe breathing or slowing down your breath is something that helps you with this. But it does feel like, oh, and by the way, I have honey on my face right now. I have been wanting to get honey for so long, and just like, I don't know, I wasn't able to do that for like a while. And today I finally was able to treat myself to some honey. And honestly, it was just so exciting. And I couldn't wait to get it on my face and take some. So honey could be significant for some of you. Or if there might be something like that, like maybe you just haven't had the extra income to get something, or maybe you just haven't had the time, something. But it feels like there's going to be something like a little thing that just makes you happy, that you're going to be like, oh, yes. Maybe there was something you wanted that was like out of season. I don't know, just something like that. But honey, God, there's so much symbolism in honey, right? Milk and honey, nectar. I'm being shown Ormus Gold. I actually just finished my Ormus Gold before I came to where I am now, like a few weeks ago. I had that for so long. Like I must have held on to my Ormus for like, I don't even know how long I had that. It was like probably years. I don't even know. But when I finished it, it was like, I can't even explain it. I just like took my last little, it was like a powder. And I just was like, I don't know, I felt something complete, like a cycle complete. So like in the Wheel of Fortune, in tarot, it's like the wheel just turned. I can't really explain it other than that. It's like that simple, but also like I just felt something, like cyclical closeout. Southeast Asia has been coming up a lot lately. So that could be relevant for someone. In particular, Vietnam, Philippines, and Thailand. I think they're Southeast Asia. I'm really bad with maps in that way, so at least in that general vicinity. China. Now, anything that I say, I always say this, but feel free to because there's so much coming in, I'm not going to look up all the symbolism for everything, but if someone wants to do that for anything, please feel free to share that. But there have been so many references lately to pistachios, which I talked about in a different transmission, but that one was on Patreon. Pistachios, donuts have been coming up. I've been seeing so many donuts. I haven't eaten any donuts lately, but I've just been seeing donuts. I don't know, when I think of donuts, obviously the circle of the world in tarot, they can be sweet, they can be savory. I don't know, a lot of people just seem to love donuts. There's something very lovable. There's a lovableness that I'm getting from the donuts, which I wasn't expecting. I was going to talk about something completely different, but when I tapped in, that's what I was being shown, something lovable, multifaceted. There's different types of donuts. I don't know why I'm being shown that, but I also just heard sourdough. For some reason, I have 555 next to the donuts. Also brownies. Why so many desserts? I was being shown brownies, and I had this interesting dream about a pig. It was a brindled pig, which I don't even know if they exist. Does anyone know that? I didn't look it up. It was a pretty big pig, and it wasn't fully formed in the dream. It was actually a really intense dream where I was crying in the dream with this pig that wasn't fully formed, and I was taking it on its last walk ever. It was the last walk before something was going to happen to it. And I was crying, and I wanted to save the pig. And I had an interesting translation of that dream come through when I was working with Gemini, and it was pigs are really intelligent and can represent intelligence. And there was something significant about the pig not being fully formed yet. And I ran into someone in this exact dream that I grew up with, who I haven't seen in 15, 20 years. I was never even close to this person. I just knew them for a long time. We went to school together from 4th grade until high school. I don't even remember his last name. His name is Joey, so that name could be significant for someone. I remember he had a crush on my friend in high school, and she was awesome. I haven't seen her in a long time either. But anyway, I was just thinking about the significance of this, and the brindled, not fully formed pig going on its last walk. I mean, I've never walked a pig before, so that was interesting. And we were inside. But as I was walking this pig, it was almost New Year's Eve could be significant. It's 12:31, and you think of New Year's Eve. Yeah, but the intelligence and not being fully formed. So it almost felt like the last walk, a version of yourself that hasn't allowed you to be in your most fully formed version of, intelligence, or any other attributes that you can think of would be represented by your wildness. It was a wild pig, or a big wild pig. They also roll in mud. This simultaneous intelligence, but also natural intelligence. When I say natural, wisdom of maybe things about the earth, or things about forward-thinking way of being, or integrating ancient ways of being. There's something about this that has felt not fully formed, and then it being its last its last walk around. It's like something is closed out that has kept you perhaps not in your fully formed era of, I just keep getting like wildness and intelligence. So that was actually quite, even though it felt really sad in the dream. So some of you could be like mourning versions of yourself, even if you don't realize it. Like maybe there's just these moments of like reminiscing, or people from your past showing up in your thoughts, in your dreams. Maybe you're finding like old photos, or people are sending you old photos. There's just something about like, closing that chapter in some way. And when I say that, I just like, my breath feels like it's coming back, which is so interesting. Okay. Okay. I just had someone gift me this little girl that I just met. Gave her, I don't know if I already shared this in a different transmission, my apologies, but it's coming through because of a dream that I had. I've had so many dreams lately, and I was talking about that in the beginning. Anna, grandmother of Jesus, could be relevant. I keep feeling her energy. Anna, grandmother of Jesus. There's something about like laying the seeds and the foundation. Foundation. So loofahs, I had this dream where I was trying to pack up for a trip, and I just kept getting all of these loofahs. At one point, I went to grab my suitcase in the dream, and there was literally 5 loofahs, like, all over. Like, some were, like, half in, like, sticking out of the zipper. Some were on top of, like, the handle. There were just loofahs, like, all over the place. And what could a loofah mean symbolically? I mean, interestingly, what do you do with a loofah? You clean yourself. It's exfoliating, so cleansing. But they're also made out of synthetic material, most of them. And in the dream, they were synthetic loofahs. So there's something about that, like loofahs that you can use that are made from like natural material, or like, and then synthetic ones. It's almost like I'm getting the energy of like pyrite being fool's gold, and then like actual real gold. So there's something about that coming through. I'm seeing some like sifting for like gems or for gold, whether that's literal or metaphorical. But in the dream, so when I was gifted a loofah from this little girl like a few weeks ago, no, less than a few weeks. How long have I been here? Within the last week or two. And I was thinking, like, I don't remember the last time I had a loofah. It's been years. And probably the last time I did have one, it was definitely not like one of those old school loofahs that are like the synthetic ones. But it was just so sweet that I was like, oh, maybe I'll use it a little bit. Anyway, then I had this dream of like all these loofahs coming. There were like 5 to 6 loofahs, maybe 7. And it was kind of like that thing when you don't have something for so long, and then all of a sudden one shows up, and then like things, it's like a drought is over, and then you're just swimming in loofahs. I mean, this is metaphorical, of course, but like, I don't know, maybe for very few of you, you were also just gifted a loofah. That would be very specific, but it's more about like the things multiplying. And this is not at all where I thought this was going. Okay. Oh, Jupiter has been so significant tonight, actually. The sky was so clear, and Jupiter just looked so, like, it looked like you could just reach out and touch it. Like, it was, like, right there. And I just did a little, like, intention setting for myself and any collectives upon which I'm connected, and anyone who's ready to receive. And I was doing a little bit of, like, energetics with Jupiter, and I just kept hearing this phrase today. Like, I was walking during sunset to the local market, and I was like, I can't even explain what I was hearing. I wish I would have written it down, but it was like it was basically like I kept hearing like, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I was like, someone's ready for something. So that was exciting. There was more to it, but I keep feeling the the golden eagle grid. So in the Ascension glossary and like Keylontic science, there's something that comes through with the golden eagle grid, and that's been coming through a lot. So I'm going to tap into that on Patreon because I feel like it's connected to this energy. But okay, another part of one of the dreams that I've been mentioning. So there have been several like larger cycle reviews that I've been going through the last like week or so since I've been here. So I've been trying to like keep track of those themes so I can like share them collectively. But I'm just going to trust that they'll come as they do, because honestly, it's been so much that I don't want to like overly try and like force it out before it's ready. Okay. With that, okay, there's another song that's been playing in my head literally for 2 days. I made that bitch famous. I don't remember who that is. Is that Kanye West? I don't know, but I kept hearing that, so that could be for someone. Can you curse on YouTube? I don't even know. Well, we'll see what happens. Okay, back to some of that masculine energy I was talking about. Lots of songs. I also kept hearing Shot Through the Heart from Bon Jovi, like over and over again. And I was like, what is this? So there could be this collective masculine energy theme, of course, again, something within you. And then there could be someone who mirrors that, or maybe this is something that you released like a long time ago and someone else is showing up in your reality, or multiple people, however it works for you. But shot through the heart and you're too plain, you give love a bad name. Yeah. So there's been this like almost sour taste in someone's mouth or your mouth about past relationships, past love experiences, or just maybe even just people in general. And it feels like there's been this like these storylines playing out from that, what I call like a hun. Someone could say hun, because I did not mean to say that. An unhealed filter. So whenever I talk about an unhealed filter, it's just like it sounds, like we are attracting from a point of something that has been in a space of like, if you want to call it wounding or whatever. And this shot through the heart, you're to blame. So someone could have tried to maybe project that onto you. This will be very specific, but you could have been dealing with someone, or you could be dealing with someone who literally like has had these past experiences, and like you haven't played out any of that with them, but they just like, let's say it's like someone who's like, oh, all women are like this, or all men are like that, or all people with blonde hair act this way. You know, it's like someone who has that preconceived notion, and then you happen to have that one thing, and because of that, they then treat you as if you're all those other people that did something, when really, most likely you have not. So that's what I mean. Yeah. Whew. So it feels like there is some sort of release within that. And if it's something, you know, that you've been experiencing internally, it feels like most likely you may have at some point. And it's almost like your external has been on like a little bit of a lag time. And it's like finally your external is going to start reflecting this release, or this more whole version of you, if you want to put it that way. I couldn't quite find the right word. So maybe you're still kind of like forming yourself. Kind of like the pig in the dream, right? It was like it wasn't fully formed. So it's like something is still forming. Okay. I thought it was going to be more like chronological with these dreams, but I'm really just like being shown different parts, because like I said, since I've gotten to my new location, I think I've had such detailed, vivid dreams like every single night, which is normal for me, generally speaking, but like so many collective messages, like over, like just so many. So, okay, so this other part of a dream where there was like someone who's like pretty known on YouTube and like some of the more, I guess, new agey type of community was in my dream, and she was like playing like a Philadelphia PPA, like Philadelphia parking. If you're from Philly, you'll know what I mean. There was also a show about parking wars with the Philadelphia, the PPA, as we call them, Philadelphia Parking Authority. Basically, they just like give out tickets to people, like that's their job. Anyway, so this person who's an influencer on YouTube, for some reason was a PPA person in my dream. And I was standing on, let me back up. So in the dream, I was laying on the ground, just sitting on the ground. It was nighttime and I just felt like I needed to be on the ground. And people were walking by me and looking at me like, I was in like a residential neighborhood and no one seemed to be around. And all of a sudden people were like walking around and like staring at me like, what is she doing? This is actually not something that hasn't happened. I've definitely sat on grounds and people are like, what is wrong with this person? But yeah, so it didn't feel that odd to me. I was just sitting on the ground and all of a sudden, before the people came around, it was snowing. There was snow around. And when I tell you, I saw these like moving lights in the sky. There were like 3 of them and they were like moving together. Speaking of the Hierogamic template or Hierogamic union, right? It's like spirit, matter coming together and then birthing something, right? That 3 again. It's like masculine, feminine integration and then birthing something. It's like coming together as a whole and then creating something. So that those 3 lights are so significant. Of course, it can also represent like celestial communication, interdimensional communication, Palladian energy is coming through very strongly right now. But that is not, it's not just that. These are just, there's so much. I'm telling you, it's a little bit like, whew, okay. So I'm like in the dream looking at the lights and I start like kind of creating like a telepathic direct communication line. And I was like watching them with my eyes. And then all of a sudden, a white bird in the dream kind of like starts to fly and I couldn't really see the lights as much. And then another white bird and another white bird and another white bird. And by the time I could even like respond, I was sitting up. I had to lay down because there were so many white birds in the stream. They seemed almost like, they kind of seemed like doves. Not to be dramatic, but like the whole, again, they started coming in so fast and right towards my head that I had to lay down or I would have gotten attacked with these flock of white birds in the dream. There were so many white birds, like they like filled the sky and they just like flew right over me and I was just watching them all like in the sky. And again, there's something significant about the grids and the access points and like angles because all of the birds were completely like parallel to the ground. Is that the right word? Like they were vertical, but like, parallel. And then the way that the 3 lights, I'm calling them lights, but whatever they were moving in the sky. They were almost like going in a specific pattern. And then like the snow was significant, the elemental re-encryption, the elemental consciousness. There was just like a lot of symbolism here. And then the fact that I was like up straight and then had to lay, like vertical, horizontal, like there's a lot going there. I don't know why I'm hearing perpendicular. Like, yeah, there's so much about like angles and movement. And okay, so then once all of this happened, no one was around for that, of course. But then when I was just sitting on the ground, then all these people were like around all of a sudden. And like, they say doves, white birds, that can symbolize some sort of union. That's like something that I've heard a lot. The unconditional love template, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, like there's so much there. I'm being shown ambrosia for some reason. There's also a lot about like elixirs. I've been hearing so much like about elixirs and stars symbology. Elixirs, ambrosia is like food of the gods, they say, right? It's like just a lot of that type of talk and symbolism coming through. So back to the PPA part. then I was just like standing around with some people after this experience, like, okay, now I'll just go back to being whatever. And this person who came up to me and was like looking underneath of my legs as if I was standing on a parking lot, but I wasn't. I was just like standing on snow. And she was like, oh, I'm gonna have to write you up a ticket. And I was like, for what? Like, I'm literally not there. I'm just standing outside. And I was like, this is like insane. So I started to run from her because in the dream I had my like last $200, and I was like, if you give me this ticket, that's all of my money. Like, I'm not paying you for something that I'm not doing wrong. Like, no. And I like couldn't run in the dream. So this is like, obviously for me, the feminine, like when I'm talking about me in the dream, I feel like it's like a collective feminine energy. So I'm like we're running, but then we like can't run. It's like almost like she's about to get us. And like, I used to have dreams like that all the time years ago, where I was like, whenever I would feel stuck, I didn't know it then. I realized it later, but when I felt stuck in something, I would have dreams where I'm like running, but like I couldn't scream, or I was being chased. I couldn't not run fast enough, or my legs would stop working, like things like that. And I stopped having those dreams. But it feels like collectively, a lot of us have been clearing those sort of, like the dove grids can represent like freedom codes. So it's like when you don't feel free, it's like those doves were not flying, So anyway, eventually she's about to catch up with me because like I couldn't run, the collective feminine's having this like freeze moment. So a lot of us are like transcending that like flight, fight, freeze responses, right? And like working with our responding, how we respond, how we react, etc. Boom. Then all of a sudden I was like, all right, if I'm not going to run, I'm just going to like hurl my body the other way. And that worked. And I like right? So it's like doing something different. Like the running wasn't working. I couldn't run anymore. So I just hurled my body, and it like almost like a spring, like flung myself into a hidden space. And then the person couldn't find me anymore. And it's so funny because I was talking about this also, where the other night I was laying in bed and I heard clairaudiently, literally like a vibrating, I think I talked a bit about this on Patreon, but I heard like a literal vibrating, I was being shown those like door springs. I don't even know if that's what they're called, but it's like coiled, I guess, metal. I don't know. And it had like those white things on the end, and you would tap it and it would like vibrate really fast. That's what it sounded like in my ear. My ear was literally vibrating. And I just like sat with it. It was on the left side. I'm being shown like the high self. Anyway, there was a lot of symbology that came through that spring vibration as well. That was in the third key of my Oraculous Lineage series in the Patreon portion. So yeah, there's more about that there. Anyway, so it was kind of like that motion. I was just like sprung. Fast forward, I was hiding in this bathroom, and then that same person, the PPA person, came into the bathroom where I was and was like trying to make this toilet wine. Completely different like character, like just switched up. And I was like hiding, and I was like, I don't have to hide from this person. And I just like walked out, and she didn't even recognize me. And she's like trying to make this toilet wine. And then I ran into these other people, and I was like all of a sudden in this banquet hall thing, and a bunch of men were like sitting around, or like just, it seemed like antiquated people. And they were like, I was talking about this toilet wine, and they were like, no, that was actually combo. And I was like, no, actually it was toilet wine, but whatever you say. Yeah, so anyway, there's something about this like collective authority that maybe has kind of infiltrated some of our mental process that feels like it is being, whether that's in like some spiritual circles or new age communities, things like maybe stuff's going on with like even municipalities, like the PPA coming up, like it feels like there's these authoritative aspects or illusionary sort of systems that are like coming down, and it starts within us, right? So there could be something within that's eventually evoking shifts externally. I know that's kind of like, I wasn't expecting that, but that's what's coming through. Okay. back to, my left thumb, the fire element and the feminine. Yeah, so I was talking about in the Patreon overflow that I just mentioned, Hydra. I kept feeling Hydra, the constellation Hydra, the snake, the serpent, the snake. And when I was looking at Auriga, I forgot to mention this, but one of the constellations that came up first was actually Hydra. And I haven't seen the constellation Hydra on my app in a while, or like maybe ever. And then boom, it was like the first one that I saw, I think. And so I knew I was feeling it. And then there it was. So yeah, the 13th sign in astrology is a serpent, I believe, as well. Ophiuchus or Ophiuchus. I'm not sure how you say that, but it's supposed to be like sort of that hidden divine feminine that's like coming into awareness again. So there's something really significant about that. Also 13 Stargate, the Mother Arc. There's a lot coming through this as well that I go deeper on Patreon, but the significance to snow that I was talking about, there could be things connected to someone externally that are showing up in your reality. Like for me, snow is very symbolic, like I said, or synchronistic. And the fact that it was showing up in my dream, but in this like masculine, elevated sort of like, I guess you could say like the divine masculine energy of like being held. So like laying in snow, to me, the masculine was showing up as snow. And, you know, it's like, I felt so free, right, with the doves around and like before that whole thing happened. It was either right before or right after, but the order really doesn't matter because, yeah, it was like being held by that. And snow is also like said to be purifying, and each snowflake has its unique, almost like fingerprint, right, like blueprint. But when it's all together, it's just like this big blanket of like white oneness. So, oh God, that sounds really bad. I don't mean it like white one. Oh God. The color white. I mean this symbolically, nothing to do with anything else. Language can be really hard right now. Yeah. Whew. Okay, so, and I was speaking about like the gradient aura. That's been coming up a lot lately, like gradient aura, and then how white contains all the colors, right? And this like snow is almost like that blanket of flow, you know, but it also has its challenges when you're trying to like navigate your 3D life through snow. That can be very challenging. Or if you're not properly prepared for the snow, you aren't a monk or someone who's trained yourself to work with temperature, it could be dangerous, you know. So there's something about that too, like honoring all of its expression and its fullness, even with some of the what we may deem as like an obstacle or something like that. Swans, I've been seeing so many swans, geese and swans as well. This girl's video popped up on my feed who I never saw before, and she was talking about making a giant swan out of 100 little swans. And I was just like, it was right after I had the white bird dream, and I was just like, what is going on? So many white birds. Yeah, and Ace of Cups has been coming through too, like in tarot, like this new emotional beginning. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like after I'm done a transmission, like I feel like I haven't really said anything, even though I feel so much. Speaking of Ace of Cups, right? Like, yeah, like an overflow of feeling. I think I'm going to call it here and then go into overflow Patreon. There may be a part 2 to this because I do feel like there's still more like the heart space is like welling over, and I can feel like this movement and like almost like a flowering open. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Oh, wait. The phrase pull, or like magnetic pull, or just just being pulled back, something of that nature is so significant too. You may be hearing that a lot. Someone may have said something like that to you, or they might in the near future. There's something really significant about that. I kept hearing a pull, like over and over again the last couple of days. Also, 111 has been so significant, 1111, and the significance to the collective masculine. I had a dream about that 5 nights in a row, and then on the 6th night, it was either 4 nights in a row, and on the 5th night, or somewhere along there, the last night was the snow. That was like the collective masculine. So it was like each night, I feel like I'm talking about like Hanukkah, all the nights, each night there was a masculine visit in a human form, and then when it like accumulated with the birds and the snow, it almost was like bringing in that, like, I'm hearing the word visionary, but also like the bigger picture of like the way spirit can manifest through form, etc., like playing with that. It's actually it's a really beautiful energy, and the masculine in the 4 or 5 dreams that preceded the snow, and the birds, there was such like also someone could be a snowbird, or maybe like someone in your family's a snowbird, someone who like lives somewhere warm in the winter and then comes back for summer, something like that. These are just random confirmations that come through. But yeah, well, not random, but oh my gosh, I just felt like maybe an inch or two on the right side of my belly button. I cannot even describe to you the feeling. It felt like there was something inside of me, like almost like poking out. Woo! Oh, that was intense. And I ended the recording almost, but I didn't quite. It was like something told me not to. So yeah, if you're still here, this really feels like it's yeah. I'm not even getting a word right now. I'm just like automatopoeia. I'm like hearing sounds and like spelling sounds in my head, but like I'm not getting the word. Okay, 369. I've been seeing references to 369. Also 69. You know what that means. There's this like very passionate, sensual energy coming through as well. And if you're not someone who like identifies with that, it could be through the senses, creativity, sexual energy. Like it could be all of them for some of you. But yeah, that has been coming through. It's funny that it waited till the end because I felt it so strongly before I recorded. And it's almost like it was like kind of hidden in the background. And right as I was about to stop, all of a sudden it was like, boom, it like literally was bursting out of me. So I feel like that's not an accident of how this is coming in. And my throat the last few transmissions has just been like easily drying out, which I feel like is a message in itself. Okay, so with that, 369, ooh, excuse me, yeah, big release. I've noticed there's been like a lot longer pauses in between in this transmission, so I'm sure there's a reason for that, and I'm just trusting. And in the beginning of the masculine dreams, it almost felt like there were these like, like I was talking about unhealed filters. Another one was feeling like you were basically like making the masculine look bad. Like the masculine got upset, masculine energy at the feminine energy for like helping and just like being herself, and was like, oh, you're making me look bad. And it was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just helping and being myself. So there's something about like letting the masculine aspect like go through its own process without trying to interfere. That felt really significant. And of course, like I say that energetically, sending love, things like that, I think are totally acceptable. Not that it matters what I think is acceptable. What I mean is like energetically that feels, it's more like, but it does feel like a past version of something. Like these are past experiences that were like playing out in the collective dream time. And then it was like a slow, not slow, but like each dream, then like the next masculine collective dream was like almost like super neutral. Like they were working in an office and it was like they were just focused on their work, almost like in a, what's that called when you're on the hamster wheel? Like they were just like on autopilot. And there was a third energy there. There was a third masculine who was like, it seemed like not the best influence. So that could be relevant for some of you. And then, yeah, it was like these different like unhealed filters like playing out, and then like this neutrality, and then like, you know, it was like this whole spectrum of like emotion and different experiences. So, okay, that feels complete now. Yes. Oh, 0 on the timer. 0 point. Potential beginnings. Exciting.